Fishing at the lake, or just taking a break. The countdown clocks have started, fight songs pass the time. The days may run together, but you know that in our mind it's always Saturday. Take me back to Saturday. Saturday. Give me those 12 Saturdays. Spot the ball. March Madness is a blast, and we love baseball games, but nothing beats the feeling of having a killer slate of games. It's always Saturday. Take me back to Saturday. Saturday. Dreaming of all Saturdays. Spot the ball. Spot the ball. Oh, college football. Sat out your day. The small, lay a big hit and pass a kick the ball. This game is for us all. From Seattle down toward the Keys, this game is you, this game is me. Cats, dogs, and steer, even a tree. This game is America, so sing it loud with me. College football forever. College football forever. Downtown LA, Starkville sit. 1 week you're up next, take a dip. Run the rock or let it rip. This game is America. All say, can you sing it with me?
We just stepped on her face with a hot-tail Brugen broke her nose. Whoa, Nelly!
College football forever. College football forever. College football forever. College football forever.
College football is a year-round discussion with these two. Here's JC and Morgan. Mike Morgan of ESPN and JC Sherbert of 24/7 Sports have you covered, beginning right now.
And a good morning and welcome, everybody. It is episode of 289 of JC and Morgan, now in our 10th year of existence. He is JC Sherbert, 24/7 Sports. I am Mike Morgan, and the guy you don't see is Mad Dog, Phil Molinax, running all the controls, pulling the levers. He is the man behind the green curtain. We welcome everybody to another installment of the show, and there's lots to get to. The fastest hour in college football coverage right here. The JC5 is coming up. G5 John is coming up. And just some overall thoughts of what was this past weekend and what is going forward. And JC, I hate to start off with these stories because it's somewhat negative. Nobody likes to see any person lose their job. But because it's not just in a vacuum, somebody losing their job, it's somebody that's about to get said lost job, and that someone could likely come from another program, so then they would have an empty job. And so it's like, you can't go away from this. You have some major job openings, and I don't think we're done. If you recall in the summer, I brought up one stat that I thought was, I don't want to say alarming, but I felt like we were on the verge of something. I always talk about volcano programs. That's part of our glossary here on JC and Morgan. Well, we had a volcano situation in the SEC because for the first time since 2018, not a single coach was fired. And you know what that means? That means a lot of people are getting pink slipped the following year. And here we are with Billy Napier now joining Sam Pittman just days after James Franklin of Penn State. And oh boy, we've got a heck of a list. In fact, Phil, if you can put that on the screen, I want to get JC's thoughts on these job openings because I think we have. Yeah, this is from Brandon Walker. I don't know Brandon. JC, I know you've had him on your show before, but I enjoyed anybody who just is really passionate about college football. I don't have to agree with everything, but Brandon brings it. He's with Barstool. So he just ranks, and there's a lot of this going on, ranking the college jobs. And he does bring up at the bottom, like I just had Auburn, Missouri, and God bless Auburn fans. They have sold out that 88,000 seat venue 19 consecutive times, and they don't have much to show for it. But there's a lot of talk. They lose in double overtime. They once again found a way to lose a close game. If things continue, Hugh Freeze could be on this list, so Auburn could be on this list, and a lot of people think even Brian Kelly and LSU could be on this list. And if it wasn't for an exorbitant buyout, many people are just convinced that Mike Norvell would be on this list and Mark Stoops would be on this list. And who's to say they won't be on this list? But for right now, JC, those are the 7, with a couple more coming for sure, probably by the end of the month. I just wanted to get your thoughts on that at the top.
Well, I think that last year with revenue share coming and there wasn't a lot of egregious seasons. I mean, we talk about Arkansas, Sam Pittman, they went to a bowl. They got kind of bounced back, Brent Pry, it was obviously going to be a big year for him. UCLA seemed temporary for me. Gundy's kind of ticked people off out there and, last year was his first really bad year. And then it started so bad this year that they had to make a move. James Franklin was a surprise. I understand that people get emotional and they get sick of losing big games. And, then you go and lose to UCLA and then almost an unforgivable loss at home to Northwestern. Northwestern's Pat Fitzgerald's definitely not walking through that door. Penn State to me is a lot like Georgia when they got rid of Rick, although they waited until the end. They're just looking for that guy to take it to the next level. That's hard to find. It's hard to find. Kirby Smart did it, but it's hard to find. So that's a great job. I would probably say Penn State's a better job than Florida just because I've never, you look at the track record of Florida on paper, it should be the best job. It's a great home field environment, passionate fan base. They've won it all before. There's talent. You can recruit to that school. You can recruit locally, nationally, whatever. But nobody's done it, Mike. And when Billy Gonzalez takes the field to lead the Gators against the Dogs here in a couple of weeks, that will be the 11th coach counting interims to lead the Gators to the field since Steve Spurrier left at the end of the 01 season.
You don't even have to count interims. It's just it's already the 5th coach. I mean, not counting Gonzalez, not counting the interims.
Yeah.
Whoever they hire is going to be the 5th coach since 2010.
2010, yeah.
Think about
since Urban left.
Yeah.
And so that's a lot. That's a coach changing coaches every 3 years. We saw it at Tennessee. Tennessee landed on the right guy. I think Tennessee's on stable footing for football. Are they winning national championships? No, but they're winning, and I think they'll take it over the wilderness that they were in. And Florida's tried everything. The former assistant twice. They've gone for the hot top assistant at another school. They've gone for 2 group of 5 guys with Napier and Jim McElwain. Where do they go now? Sitting head coach somewhere. But I mean, Mullen was a sitting head coach at an SEC program. I mean, it's not like they haven't attracted it. So It's going to be interesting to see, just to be honest, who they come up with. I believe the Florida job's a good job. I think at Penn State, when you're talking still only about like, well, Michigan, Ohio State, Oregon, whoever, we got to beat those teams, but we're pretty good with everybody else. And, there's a lot of talent in Pennsylvania and New Jersey and the DMV that they can reach to. You can build a powerhouse there. I think Florida being in the SEC, I'd probably flip those.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's hard to argue with anything on this list. And if LSU does open, that's for my money, LSU's best job in the country, just because of you've been able to plug coaches in there and they've been able to win it all. I mean, it's just about access to talent and, care and all that. So
with zero competition in your state.
None. Yeah, none. And
that's the
and
difference.
You're located down there on the I-10 corridor. So from Jacksonville to Houston, Texas, if you get on I-10, you could probably collect 8 high-level D linemen every year from that corridor. I mean, going from Houston to Jacksonville, through Mobile and all of Louisiana. I mean, and those guys are hard to find. You can't just find them everywhere. And that's why they're always, until recently, pretty good on the D line because it's all right there. So I agree with this quite a bit. Other than, nothing against the Florida job and the great Gator fans, but you just haven't seen it, but with 2 coaches.
Well, you haven't seen it with 2 coaches, and you've watched failure after failure after failure, and you keep having to write failure checks, as Billy will be the latest to cash one. I think most of it comes within the first 30 days. At this point, that's just the going. We hear that from fans all the time. Why do they sign these ridiculous buyout contracts? You're hurting the schools. Folks, they don't have a choice, they being the administrations. If you want a big-time coach, it is baked into the formula. If you try to get a big-time coach and you say, we don't believe in buyouts here, the contract is the contract, you will never get that coach. The marketplace, the Jimmy Sextons of the world, the Trace Armstrongs of the world, they set the market. This has been going on for 20 years. I knew a guy back in South Carolina named Craig Kelly. He used to represent Frank Beamer was like his first signature client. And before you know it, he had Ron Zook, he had Skip Holtz, he was kind of Sexton before Sexton 20-something years ago. And he used to explain to me how the buyouts were going to be the new thing. Because 25 years ago, nobody knew what the term buyout even was. But in this day and age where coaches are fired all the time before the contract is up, and then coaches are always looking at that better opportunity before contracts are up, there are buyouts on both sides. So, for example, if you poach a coach, there's a buyout on the other end. If Lane Kiffin did leave for Florida, and make no mistake about it, he is by leaps and bounds the number 1 candidate. I don't know if they have a plan B in Florida, but if they don't get him, it's going to be a bumpy road perhaps in Gainesville. But if you do get him, then he has a buyout for leaving, which will likely be paid by Florida. It's not like Lane's going to personally write the check out of his savings account to the administration of Ole Miss. But buyouts aren't going anywhere. I understand people hate them, and I understand, especially for 99% of us right now that go to work every day and we're paycheck to paycheck. I mean, you got to earn it. They don't just give you stuff because they fire you. Everybody's been fired by some job or another. If you're lucky, if you're really lucky, you get some type of severance package, maybe a month, maybe 3 months, maybe even a year, but you don't get millions of dollars. So it is very unattractive for people to see this, and it's disturbing. I understand all that. I'm just telling you, they're not going away. Like, buyouts are not going. They are part of this formula, and it in a free marketplace, I just don't see it going away anytime soon, JC.
No, it's just like the NIL thing and overpaying for players that are unproven and all that. Somebody out there is willing to do it, right? Your competitor is willing to do it. Now, if everybody bound together and said, we're not doing this anymore, you can kick rocks. We'll just plenty of good coaches that want the opportunity, and we'll go give it to them. I mean, that would take everybody holding hands and singing Kumbaya, and that's not going to happen in college football because there's kind of 114 fiefdoms that all look after their own interest and not the good of the game. And I don't like it. I'll be honest, because this is another thing. I used to, and I'm pro coach. There's media members out there national that can't stand coaches, and it's probably because they're jealous and they don't like whatever. And they don't miss an opportunity to beat up on them. I'm pro coach. I mean, you guys know that. But Billy Napier, when he gets fired, he knew he was getting fired. You knew it. And he looks and he's got tears in his eyes. So you kind of feel for the guy. But he looks up and he's got this little grin and he goes, I love college football. That's a man that's about to walk away with $27 million to go sit on the beach.
That's right.
God bless him. I mean, and I think it's uncanny because the other part of that is fans are being asked to pony up more and more and more and more. So when does it end? When are we going to stop sucking everybody's money away to fail? I don't get it. It on top of that, some of these people are jerks to the media when there's no reason for it to be. They punch down all the time. They act like state, all these things within programs are state secrets. They want to put out a 3-second clip on Twitter about how great they are. And that's your communication to your fan base. And then on Saturdays, everybody shows up and it's not the same. It's not what you thought. And so how long is that going to last too? I mean, like I said, I'm the first to call media out because I think there's a lot of dishonesty out there in the world of media. But if you sit there and punch down on these folks that are trying, the honest ones that are trying to cover your program and communicate to fans, and they're the ones telling the truth, and everything else is like coming from Pyongyang, from state TV, and then reality doesn't match that, how long are the fans it's going to erode the whole sport like all this other stuff. May not happen in our lifetime, but it will. And on top of that, they're state-supported institutions. They're like the Big Ten's talking about this private equity, and a congressperson said, "Hey, look, these are public assets, and you're selling them to a private equity. You can't do that. These teams and these programs belong to the fans and the public." And I just think that when you consider the money and the money fans are being asked to pay and all that good stuff, there needs to be a little bit more of I guess. On the part of coaches who I understand are very myopic and just are concerned about coaching ball, to communicate a little better and, act like they're a little bit more grateful for what the fan bases provide.
Yeah. Yeah. It mirrors the pro model more and more, although oddly enough, I say that pro coaches don't have those kind of buyouts, but they don't have Jimmy Sexton and they don't have the same leverage. Pro coaches, like literally just, unless you're Bill Belichick or Mike Tomlin, typically they last like 4 years, then they're gone. It's just kind of the deal. You mentioned the buyout number for Napier. So if you include Arkansas, Oklahoma State, Oregon State, Penn State, UAB, UCLA, Virginia Tech, add Florida, by my math, we're at about $121 million in buyouts. And we're not done yet. We are not done yet. There's going to be a couple more. So we'll be over $150 million. Here's a number to remember. We'll be over $150 million in buyouts for coaches by the end of this season. That is alarming in some ways. Here's another number that's interesting, I thought, and then we'll dive into the JC5. Mike asked a good question. Is the quality of college football play just down? Quarterback play is not as good anymore. Offensive line play is bad across the country. I think positions that need time to develop aren't getting enough time to develop. All very fair points. I hate the word parity, but it's clear to me, like the super teams that Alabama used to have under Saban and Georgia had most recently in 2021, 2022, or LSU in 2019, they're done. Because with the portal and the salary I don't want to use the word cap because I don't believe in it. I don't think it's actually a cap right now, but let's just call it salary structure. With all that in play, you can't stockpile talent the way you once did. So you're seeing now some teams show some vulnerability. Here is a really good stat that I just kind of stumbled upon the other day. The SEC, best conference in the land. Any argument, JC? I don't want to.
No,
Okay, just checking.
not at all.
All right. So, best conference in the land. I'm going to take you to 2017 and go to today. These are the scoring margins in SEC games, not when they play a powder puff. Okay. 2017, the average margin of a conference game in the Southeastern Conference, 21 points. 21 points. That's a lot of blowouts, right? 2018, 17.6. 2019, 17.3. I'm going to skip over COVID. That was 15. COVID was weird in a lot of ways. 2021, 17. 2022, 16. Now here's where it gets interesting. 2023, 14.4. Last year, 11.1. This year, 10.7. So we went from 20.9 8 years ago to 10.7 in 2025. And I will tell you this, knowing a little bit about television, TV loves that. TV loves that. They want every game to be close. Call it parity, call it what you will, but they want games coming down. They don't want a bunch of blowouts on ABC, CBS, and Prime. They want that, and that's what you're getting right now.
Well, the networks want it, and you guys too. I mean, if
announcers,
play, dude, why would
Sure.
you want to? I mean, how excited do you get when the fourth team quarterback comes in and throws a garbage?
Not very. No,
And
it makes
there
our
he
job a
is.
lot harder.
I mean, yeah,
I always say an announcer, the easiest thing to do, and ironically, we get the most praise for like the dramatic call. That's the easiest thing for an announcer to do. If you're good at it. The hardest thing to do is when it's 56-10 in the third quarter, and you still look at that clock, and you got an hour and a half to still talk.
Trust me,
Nobody wants
dude,
that.
it's a different sport, but I watched every game of the 88 Braves season. They lost 106
Oh, my
games.
God.
Those games in September, listening to Skip Carey call it.
Carey. Look at the girl in the
Hey,
fourth row.
Rafael Ramirez has got another crack at it. Pause. Nah, and you've had some good games on Elite this year that have gone. Most of them have gone.
Yeah, it's been
pretty
fun.
close, especially lately. Yeah, I mean, look, that's great. The SEC, it started kind of last year in my eyes. I call them NFL style outcomes. You know, like on Sundays, the Bears beat the Saints, who are not very good, 26-14 is a great win. You know, and it doesn't matter that the Saints are struggling and the Bears have won 4 in a row. They're just glad to win. And that's in the SEC, that's kind of how the outcomes have been this year. They're all competitive. It's a bloodbath. And I guess that's by design, you know, with regards to conference expansion and television and all that. The on the field product is more competitive than ever. I understand what Mike is saying about the quality of the game, you know, especially on offense. There's been some issues kind of, I think, with the transition, getting everybody on the same page in a quick amount of time with a lot of programs, most of them actually. But, you know, I think what's going to fix that, Mike, is some kind of off-season scrimmage and things like that. That has to come with all the transition and stuff. But it'll continue to be competitive because, you know, like Indiana, Missouri, Vanderbilt in the chat row says that they're not the most loaded rosters. Well, who's to say they're not? You know, recruiting rankings, when everybody's stockpiling talent, they would just keep the ones that hit the 4 and 5 stars. And then you'd have like the bottom 10 would transfer. Well, now the bottom 30s transfer, and 20 of those guys have a chance to play down the road. And then you have a whole other group of FCS group of 5, you know, lower level power 4s that transfer to bigger programs. When you look at the draft, you know, 30 to 35% of the draft is made up of these guys. Well, they're not staying at these other schools. And I think the draft will end up being almost all Power 5 as we move forward. You know, so schools like Missouri are finding these players. So who would you take over Ahmad Hardy at running back in the SEC? And look at how many 4- and 5-star running backs are in the SEC. Ahmad Hardy was a 0-star, but I'd take Ahmad Hardy over every single one of them.
And look at, I don't know how many stars like a kid like Fernando Mendoza had, but not many, I'm guessing, out of South Florida. That kid right now could be the top quarterback in the draft, and he's helping Indiana make another playoff.
I'm gonna brag on my Cal Bears, I guess, again. Aaron Rodgers, Jared Goff, Fernando Mendoza. That's one thing Cal can say as a program. They always find great quarterbacks in the wild. Unfortunately, now there's a portal, and that kid's at Indiana, so that sucks.
Right. Yeah, and if you look at some of the top quarterback stories out there, they were not the most highly recruited. They go to a place like, I don't know, Mateer in Washington State or Cam Ward in Washington State. And sure enough, everybody sees the tape against legitimate competition is like, yeah, let's just go ahead and pluck him away and put us in the Power Four. I totally agree. I think the stories of like the kid that it plays at Akron and he's a first rounder, and those are going away. Those are all going to be gobbled up and vultured to the Power Four programs. All right, let's, by the way, coming up later on too, we'll have a little deep dive. We'll break out the extra diving board. And Thornton Mellon is going to do the triple Lindy. Do a deep dive on Curt Cignetti. Because I believe Curt Cignetti, guys like Cignetti and Clark Lee, they're part of the reason why a lot of coaches are going to get fired. Because the fan bases of a lot of teams with a lot more going for them than Indiana and Vanderbilt are saying, what the hell? How did they do it? Well, they hired some guy that very few other people wanted, and they've got the magic touch. So fans are looking at that and like, well, that's ridiculous. We have a bigger stadium. We have more money. We're in a better conference. We got more tradition. And why can't it be us? That gets a lot of people fired. But Cignetti is one of the best stories, I think, in the last 20 years of a coaching grinder who gambled on himself. JC, you and I have we've both done that in our careers. Sometimes you got to bet on yourself. Sometimes you really got to throw your you-know-what's on the chopping block because you believe in yourself. And that's what Cignetti did. He cost himself money in order to think he played the long game, and boy, did it ever pay off. I'll tell you what else pays off, the JC5.
It's time for the top topics in the sport. We bring the JC5. Number 1.
Okay, you mentioned Curt Cignetti. Did you ever think, Michael, 2 years ago, I'll give you 2 years leeway on this, that college game day would be in Nashville for Missouri and Vanderbilt. These are old SEC East foes. They played every year since Missouri came in the league. And then this game would have playoff implications.
I'm glad you tagged it with playoff implications. I believe the winner of this thing is going to the playoff. I don't think either team will be in the SEC championship game, but I think the winner of this will be in a 12-team playoff. Vanderbilt and Missouri. You could add Eli Drinkwitz to a guy who's getting people fired and going to get people fired, because that was a non-plus hire when it was made, and now all of a sudden people are going to try to poach Eli from Mizzou. Mizzou's got more money than you think, people. I'm just throwing that out there. He's pretty happy where he is in Como. You could not see this coming. I'd be the first one. I'll raise my hand. I thought the last couple of years the magic would run out a little bit on Mizzou. Now that, granted, they have had an easier schedule than most teams in the SEC. I'm just being honest. They have. Missouri fans would concede that. But 21 wins the last 2 years and on pace for another good year. Like you mentioned, I just did Auburn-Mizzou, double overtime. Auburn had to have that game in so many ways. Mizzou did not play their best game, and they just found a way to win. And that's what Eli has been doing now for a while. They don't blow people out typically, but they find ways to win. And the one game they lost, that was a final possession game against Alabama, who might be the best team in the country. Who knows? I think it's a terrific story. If you would have told me that game day was going to Vanderbilt for any reason, I would have thought you were insane. JC, stay off the cough syrup. It's not worth it. But clearly, Clark Lee has done an amazing job. I did his firid game on the SEC network. I think it was like East Tennessee.
They lost to East Tennessee State at home.
And they didn't just lose. They got worked over. It wasn't even close, right? It was like a double-digit loss at home.
I think it's 35-3.
35-3. So everybody at that point walking out of Commodore Stadium was thinking, different coach, same old you-know-what. And now what he's done, phenomenal.
Yeah, I'll say a direct quote from a friend of mine at Vandy after they beat South Carolina this year. I was like, congrats. And he's like, thanks, brother. We had some dark days to get to this point.
Yeah.
But it shows you, too. You hire the right offensive coach. You get the right quarterback. Even if you're a defensive dude, you're going to be okay. It's a proven fact, So congratulations to them. And shoot, I like both teams a whole lot. They've played 40 football games, both these programs, the last 2 years. Take the game that they beat each other out. They're combined. They've won 28 out of 39 games.
That's
Vanderbilt, Missouri.
Ridiculous.
Missouri's 27-6 the last 3 years.
It's unreal. It's unreal. And Diego Pavia, again, if you stand next to Diego Pavia on the field, and I have, and I'm looking at him a little shorter than I am, and I'm looking at this kid, and I'm looking at all the other athletes on the field at the same time in an SEC game, and I'm just like, how? But that kid has more moxie. He is just this is what recruiting rankings cannot typically find out. You don't know what's in the ticker. You don't know what's in between the ears. You just break down the metrics. And the metrics say he has no business being an SEC quarterback. But then you go to the intangibles, and who the hell wouldn't want Diego Pavia right now?
And in this game, it's the hardest. That's why it's hard to evaluate it, because this up here and this in here matters a lot. A lot of talented guys. It's a talent maximization game. And up here and in here determines if you're going to maximize your talent, which is why I am against overpaying high school players, because that affects right here and it affects right here. Talked about going to the beach earlier. Those are grown men that are coaches. You give a college kid enough to go to the beach. I mean, how hard, you've heard the spiel. Anyway, that's my thing there.
Number two.
Staying with teams that wear gold helmets. I said this earlier this year, and I stand by it. Let me just read this off to you. Notre Dame's off this week after beating the Trojans. Here's their schedule, Mike. I'd be nervous if I was an Irish fan. At Boston College, Navy, at Pitt. It could be tricky. Syracuse at home. Syracuse beat up, has no quarterback. And then at resurgent Stanford that beat Florida State. I think the Irish are on a glide path to make the playoff again. Not only that, I think they got a dang good football team, man. You lose by 3 at Miami and then 1 in a shootout to A&M at home, but then you rally and handle business. That's good coaching. I know there was once upon a time we kind of questioned Marcus Freeman around here, and rightfully so, but I think he's got a good thing going. I think they're a good football team. Jeremiah Love's awesome. I think CJ Carr's got a bright future. Irish back to the playoff. What say you?
Had him against Arkansas, which was the DOA, death on arrival, for one Sam Pittman. Jeremiah Love and the other back, I just forgot his name, the kid who returns seemingly every kick for a touchdown. Those two, as good a tandem of backs in college football. They're always stout on the line of scrimmage. Defense, good. I don't know if it's like the best ever. Price, thank you, Sam. Is it Jadarian Price? When you look at the rest of that schedule, I said it after the game against Arkansas. I'm looking at that schedule. I didn't like Southern Cal's chances, not in South Bend. They're going to make the playoff, and people are going to hate it, and people are going to they don't like the system where Notre Dame gets to play as an independent, and it's a different set of rules, and blah 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 blah, and the brand recognition. I agree with you. Unless they have the typical just inexplicable loss like Northern Illinois and Marshall. But if he can avoid that, they are going 10-2, no conference championship game, and right into another playoff. I agree.
Number 3.
Staying in the state of Indiana, which apparently is the epicenter of college football. Take it out of Atlanta, give it to Indianapolis, right? Hoosiers.
Oh man.
Look, Indiana's been awfully impressive. We haven't talked since they beat Oregon on the road. Haven't had a show, but UCLA coming to town to play the Hoosiers. UCLA 24.5-point the underdog in this one. I'm of two thoughts. Number one, I think 24.5 is a big number for a pretty hot UCLA team.
Yeah.
But number two, Indiana will take your soul away. They took Oregon's soul away. They took Illinois' soul away. They'll take your damn soul away, dude. How do you see this game? It's a big noon kickoff, 9 a.m. Pacific. The Bruins have to come get up early and eat their Captain Crunch.
Yeah.
What do you? How do you see this one going?
Everybody knows the story of is it Jerry Neuheisel, right? Rick's kid. Yeah. And I've known Rick for a while. I've always enjoyed being on his show, and he can't hide the happiness that he has for his boy, and nor should he. It's one of the best stories in college football. They looked like the most disorganized. I mean, what are there, 134 FBS teams? You could have made a case they were 134 under the last guy, who never should have gotten the job, but that is what it is. I think it's the fact that they have rattled off 3 in a row. How could anybody see that coming? Nico all of a sudden has shown that he's good. I'm not going to go great, but he's got talent. I think it ends though. I think Indiana's just better, and it's hard for people like me, and I think a lot of people listening, to just wrap my arms around the fact that Indiana has the requisite talent to be a top 5 team in college football. How does that like the Mendoza thing? You can, even schools that aren't blue bloods or SEC or whatever, you can roll the dice, and if your evaluation is good, find the right quarterback to be a huge difference maker. And they obviously did that. But it's more than just that. It's more, I mean, last year they got the kid from Canada playing quarterback, and he led them to a playoff. Clearly, it's not just one position, JC. So whatever Cignetti is doing, they are one of the most talented teams. I don't care about NFL draft stock here. I'm just talking about college football talent. They're one of the most talented teams in college football. So I would go with Indiana.
Yep, they got a safety from Ole Miss. They got, and he didn't play a whole lot for the Rebels last year, leading them in interceptions. They do a good job of evaluating and then coaching them up. But they actually do have good players. Like last year, I didn't really think they were overly talented. Mm-hmm. This year, I watch them and they got dudes. Yeah. Hats off to Kurt Cignetti, one of the greatest stories in college football. I think UCLA will cover the 24.5, but I probably wouldn't bet it, just because, I mean, you'll be watching an Indiana game and it'll be close, and then you'll blink and it's like, I mean, they're like the Florida Gators under Steve Spurrier. You used to watch Florida and it's 14-14, you turn it back on, it's 35-14. Yeah. I mean, they do it a different way, but it's still kind of funny.
Crazy. Number 4.
Okay. Speaking of Mississippi State, here's a little stat for you. And I don't know that this matters, but I want to get your thoughts on it. In the SEC since 2020, 3 coaches have been fired immediately after winning against Mississippi State.
I saw that. Bro, what a bizarre stat.
Gus Malzahn in 2020, Jimbo Fisher 2023 at A&M, who will beat him 51-10, and then Napier, of course, survived at the Swamp, beating 23-21. Man, I mean, if you're the cowbell, more cowbell, I don't know, man. I mean, it's probably not a great stat.
Well, one thing I do know is Mississippi State has gotten much better under Jeff Lebby. They had that great win against Arizona State beginning of the year, which is, the equivalent of a walk-off in a lot of ways. But the fact is, they're still winless in the SEC. There's 4 winless teams in the SEC: State, Arkansas, Auburn, and Kentucky. So with all the quote-unquote parity, there's still some teams that are behind the 8 ball. And I'm a believer in Jeff Lebby. I think he'll do good work there. I don't know if they'll ever get back to the Dan Mullen type of results in Starkville. It would help if you just happen to stumble upon a 2-star, whatever, how many stars Dak Prescott had. But obviously that was a huge get when they got him. But I think Lebby will. Of the four teams I just mentioned, I actually think Mississippi State is in the most healthy position because I think they do have their guy, and the talent's getting better, and we'll see how that goes moving forward.
Number 5.
Okay, Mike, I'm going to give you credit for something and then ask you a question. So,
Okay.
Texas Tech, I know you've been all over them since the summer. You were buying Texas Tech. But
Yep.
before that, you're kind of like John Kerry in the 04 election. I voted against the $84 million before I voted for it. You were all about Arizona State. And guess what? Kenny Dillingham pulled the win.
Yeah.
So now the Big 12 has gotten even saltier. BYU and the University of Cincinnati Bearcats.
Yeah.
Former App and Louisville coach Scott Satterfield was on the hot seat coming in, not anymore. They're in first, tied for first 4-0. Houston, Texas Tech, and Arizona State tied for third. How do you see this? Tied for third behind those two. How do you see this shaking out, man, in the wacky Big 12?
The wild and wacky Big 12.
Are you sticking with Texas Tech would be my question.
Well, let me start off with, since you mentioned Arizona State, Kenny Dillingham and Jeff Brom, if they weren't coaching their alma maters, they would be poached in a second. Those are two really good coaches. Jeff Brom, to me, has been one of the best play callers for a decade. I mean, I go back to when he was at Western Kentucky, then Purdue. He's knocked off 3 top 5 teams, and it's all about the U-Dogs go down at home on a Friday night game, which had trap written all over it. So congratulations to Louisville for being a great story there. Okay, Big 12. I'm still high. I still think Texas Tech is the most talented and the best team in the Big 12 conference. Their quarterback has been banged up. They've had to play 2 guys, but give credit where it's due. They just flat out lost. I've got them at home against undefeated BYU. That could be like a top 15 matchup. I think the winner of that game wins the Big 12 conference.
I like.
Wow! Say that again.
I think somebody turned on the microwave. I like BYU a lot. They're kind of a throwback team and all that. But I'm with you. Arizona State to me is good this year. They're not Scattaboo level good like they got hot at the end of last year, but they're good. Right. It's certainly an important win. BYU, I don't know. Maybe this is I've always thought BYU in the Big 12 was a problem for the rest of the teams because, like Notre Dame, they were independent for a long time, or they were in the WAC. But that's a national program with a national following. We just don't think about it.
Right. With grown men who are like.
A lot of dude. They go on those
before
missions.
COVID. Before COVID, there was only one program playing with 24-year-olds, and that was BYU.
Papua New Guinea handing out the Bible and building houses for 2 years, and they come back and football's easy. Yeah. So
they've already got a 401k portfolio before the senior year.
It's BYU's an interesting thing. I like Kalani Sitake. I met him when he was coaching at Utah at a camp in Salt Lake City, summer of 2009. So when I saw Rice Eccles Stadium that summer. There was no game, but I saw it. A lot of respect for him as a man and a coach, and just wish them the best. That's interesting. I'd probably still stay with Texas Tech too. I mean, you're not going to go undefeated most of the time in the sport anymore, but that should be. The Big 12 got much more exciting, I thought.
I totally agree, and there's a name for BYU, and you and I are kind of night owls, right? So we're watching college football till midnight plus. But if you're not, you haven't seen a whole lot of BYU. But Bear Bachmeier, if that's not a great name for that's like straight out of Central Casting, right? Yeah, what are we going to name this kid for Varsity Blues 2? Call him Bear Bachmeier. Let's call him Bear Bachmeier. I do not want your life. I'm Bear Bachmeier. He's a good-looking talent. He really is. Like, you watch him, really athletic, makes plays, arm, leg, you name it. And he's got plenty of eligibility. So remember the name, Bear Bachmeier. All right, that is the JC5. We just rattled right through that son of a gun like a hot knife through butter. We're going to do the same on the other side. We'll take a deep dive on Kurt Cignetti. We'll go through G5 John. Not just elitists on this show. We cover it all. Coast to coast. Love.
Morning, Carl. Usual?
Yeah.
Your oldest was in here the other day. Said the two of you took a trip down to my neck of the woods. How'd that go?
You might as well give me one of those Carolina cars while you're at it.
I knew I liked that one.
Yeah.
There you go, my friend.
Thanks.
Hey, Carl. Congratulations.
See you tomorrow, Freddie.
You bet.
Welcome to Palm Casual Patio Furniture. Because we are the factory, Palm Casual has the ability to offer the highest quality outdoor furniture paired with world-class service. Since 1979, our factory showrooms have done our best to make the buying process as easy as possible for our customers. Our understanding of the many factors that go into your decision has helped us create our 30-day trial period that increases the level of comfort our customers feel during the shopping experience. Visit us in Somerville, Mount Pleasant, Myrtle Beach, and Bluffton, and online at palmcasual.com for our products in out-of-state locations. Go Gamecocks!
Hey, folks, want to tell you about our friends at Titan Construction Group really quick. They're a mid-Atlantic based general contractor, specializes in retail, restaurant, and office construction. TCG strives to separate itself from other general contractors by adding value every step of the process. From project budgeting to estimation, value engineering to construction, they focus on those relationships and not the transaction. Titan builds partnerships one project at a time. Among their clients are Starbucks, Crumble Cookie, Blake Pizza, Home Goods, 15 plus years experience, based in Midlothian, Virginia, and contracted in Virginia, West Virginia, North Carolina, and South Carolina. So get on their website, TitanCGinc.com. That's TitanCGinc.com. Get in touch with Brad if you're in need of a general contractor that focuses on going above and beyond for their clients. That's Titan Construction Group, a proud sponsor of the JC and Morgan podcast.
We're passionate about making sure that the Nest and Wild mattress is the best it can be. Made well and made right. Right here in Tupelo, Mississippi. So how can we do all that? Work. Hard work. And that means something. The Nest and Wild mattress is a movement. It's a pride in where you come from and where you're going. So get comfortable, because this movement is just beginning.
This is JC Morgan on the Chief Sports Network.
College football forever.
Uh-oh. Got to unmute something. We're back. JC and Morgan College Football Podcast, anxiously awaiting the update from G5 John, and then we're going to do a deep dive into Kurt Signetti, and Mike is back.
I'm back. Sorry about that.
We're back. So,
I got a new microphone and a new cable too, so we should be avoiding such hiccups, but apologize for that. Before we get into, Sam always brings back a very popular segment, Five or Dimer, movies that are just remote droppers. If it's a fiver, you've seen it at least five. If it's a dimer, it's 10 plus. Every now and then you get a Ben Franklin. That's just like, it's Goodfellas, it's Casino, it's Shawshank, what have you. He always throws two our way, and I love it because I swear Sam must have like the same DVD collection or something that I have. He throws out War Games and Scent of a Woman. Two dimers for me, Scent of a Woman, peak Pacino. I think that's the one movie he won an Oscar for. Didn't win it. Ooh-ah. If I was half a man I used to be, I'd throw a flamethrower to this place.
A flamethrower to this place.
Who the hell you think you're talking to? I don't know what bad. You're a bunch of bad bums. That's what you are.
Do you ever miss the subtle Al Pacino? Those Michael Corleone, though. I love Al Pacino. Don't get me wrong, but
yeah, he became a screamer.
Even in Heat, which their nuance and heat was good with all the actors except him. He says, "She got a sweet ass," I mean, in the middle of that movie.
Oh yeah.
My God,
You could come in here, have fun with my wife in her ex-husband's dead tech neo-modernistic post-society, but you cannot watch my MFN TV. That's the different Al. Then you watch Dog Day Afternoon, and it's just like a lower voice before he started smoking a pack of Camels a day. I'm dying over here. But that's a dimer for me. And then War Games. War Games, in a lot of ways, is like a 2-star movie. But as I always say, some of my most rewatchable movies are 2-star movies. The classic, the test case that I always say is Roadhouse. This is not a brilliant movie, but I'm here for it every time it's on. War Games is one of those. If you're of a certain age, when you were a kid and War Games came on, like HBO or TNT, TBS, it's fantastic. And remember, when we first started the show, we would do DEFCON 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's from War Games.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I got that term. So yeah, 2 dimers for me. JC, your thoughts?
Son of a Woman's a 5. Nothing against the movie. I like it. It's not. I guess I hadn't been on, dude. I watched War Games a couple of months ago.
Did you?
It's about a dimer. I'm closing in on dimer. So when I was a kid, it was one of my favorite movies.
Yeah.
Oh, but then it's kind of like, but there's a Disney movie called The Black Hole. And I loved The Black Hole when I was a kid, right? It was awesome.
Right.
I went back and watched it and tried to watch it as an adult. I think during the pandemic, me and the wife, let's watch The Black Hole. Yeah. I had to turn it off. It was so god awful. I mean, terrible, really dated. And so, War Games is a little dated. I was kind of like, this is a cheat. Did I really?
It's silly.
Like this?
It's a silly movie. It's like a kid breaks in on a computer and nearly starts World War III, but
and then it won't end.
No, it won't end. No, it is.
Isn't the guy though that plays the general? Isn't he?
Oh, he's great.
But isn't he Cush's dad in Jerry Maguire? Or am I wrong in that?
Ooh, I don't think so, but I'd have to double check that. That's a great question. That's a next level question. You're talking about the guy that goes, "I'd piss on a spark plug if I thought it'd do something." That's the guy you're talking
Jerry.
about.
Okay, so the guy, Jerry O'Connell is the guy's name. No, Jerry O'Connell.
That's the guy in Jerry Maguire. That's Cushman.
That's Cush.
I'm getting Cush lash.
All right, yeah, all right. So I'm all right. I'm going to look this up. You continue.
Well, we'll find that out. That'll be on next week's episode.
Yeah.
In the meantime, let me get through G5. John, who's always got good stuff. Who fell out of his top 5 in the G5? Well, UNLV fell out. Dan Mullen took a tough one at Boise State, 56-21. Memphis lost to UAB 31-24. That one no one saw coming. That was after they fired Dilfer. So he's got number 5, San Diego State, 4, James Madison, 3, Navy at 6-0. 2, Tulane, and number 1 still USF. They will be at Memphis for their next game. In fact, that's the game of the week, according to G5. John, the Mountain West battle. USF at 6-1, at Memphis 6-1. USF is a 3.5-point favorite, led by their quarterback, Byram Brown. Memphis's quarterback, Brandon Lewis, also playing some really good ball. So there it is from G5, John. All right, install the extra diving board, please, Mad Dog. We need to go ahead and do a deep dive. We haven't done this in a while.
All right, I'm an idiot. Bo Bridges was in Jerry Maguire.
Right.
And then the guy that Barry Corbin was in War Games. So.
But Barry Corbin's been in a lot of stuff. He's one of those, that guy, him again.
He's that guy.
Yeah, he's been in a bunch of stuff, but I can never remember his name.
He's Texas Tech graduate, too.
Oh, well, there you go. Maybe he's part of the Matador Club. Maybe he's given $1 million on War Games royalties. All right.
Put on your scuba gear. Mike's taking on a deep dive.
I forgot we had that. We haven't done this in a while, and I miss it, damn it. The Golden Pipes of Gary B. leading us in. Okay, so where did Kurt Signetti come from? Like, everybody knows he was James Madison. But here is a guy. I just sounded like Collinsworth. Here's a guy in Pat Mahomes. Here's a guy who was born in Pittsburgh, PA, back in 1961. He was a quarterback at West Virginia, 79-82. I don't know if he ever saw the field, I've never seen a single highlight of Cignetti actually playing quarterback at West Virginia, but that was his position. Okay. So what does he do? He graduates in 82, first job in 83. He's a GA at Pitt. Okay. Now, if I'm not mistaken, that would be just after Dan Marino. So he didn't have Marino. 85, he's a quarterback wide receivers coach at Davidson. Then for 3 years, he's the quarterback coach at Rice. These are not plum jobs, folks. There's like no money in these jobs, especially back then. He is grinding. He's probably mopping the floor at night. Then in 89 to 92, he's the Temple quarterbacks coach. So he's still he's anonymous. He's living in anonymity through all these jobs. Then from 1993 to 1999, a little bit of a break. He's the quarterbacks coach at Pitt for a lengthy stay, 6-7 years. Then he goes to NC State, 2000 to 2006. He's the quarterback coach. Then he goes to Bama. Wouldn't you know, Saban, 2007, 2010. He's Nick Saban's wide receiver coach at Alabama. And then he's like, you know what? I got to gamble on myself. He could have stayed in the SEC, probably made more money. He takes a head coaching job at IUP. How many 5-stars rolled through IUP, JC?
My guy, John Gork, they used to work with at Rivals, was an IUP grad, I think.
Okay, but he wasn't 5 stars.
He
might have given out stars.
It's a 5-star person.
5-star human being, yes, but not a 5-star player. IUP, for 5 years, he coached IUP. Do we know their mascot? I don't know IUP's mascot. Was he in War Games? Was the mascot? We don't know. All right, so then Elon, then he goes to Elon to coach Elon, the Phoenix, 2017 to 2018. And finally, a better job, James Madison comes calling. 2019 to 23, he's the head coach there. What does he do at James Madison? Well, he does quite well, actually. NCAA Division 1AA championship game in 2019. He has another good year in the COVID year where they make to the playoffs. And then in 2021, they go 12-2, make it to the – so all 3 years, he takes JMU to the playoffs. But even then, a lot of people would say, JC, and you know this, James Madison is a pretty good gig in 1AA. Now, of course, they're not 1AA. But back then, they were. There's a lot of talent over there roaming around that Virginia and JMU going back to like guys like Charles Haley and whatnot. And then they turn into FBS. They go to the Sun Belt. What does he do when they go up a classification? He still wins. He wins the Eastern Division in 2022. In 2023, 11-1. They go to the Armed Forces Bowl. And Indiana says, give the 60-year-old from JMU a call. Nobody else wants this friggin' job. And they get him. And now in IU, he's 18-2, 12-1 in Big Ten play. Just a remarkable story. You know I like grinders, JC. I don't like Nepo stories, and I don't like guys that are given jobs just because they were great players. I like the guy that works his ass off for no money and eventually gets his opportunity. And you know what? He's 64. He looks like he's 40. He's got plenty of vigor, and Indiana G'd him up to the tune of $93 million. Good for them. Good for Curt Cignetti.
Cignetti's father, Frank Cignetti Sr., was the head coach at West Virginia, 76-79, replaced Bobby Bowden. He was on Bobby Bowden was on Jim Carlin's staff. Carlin left to go to Texas Tech. Bowden coached West Virginia. He leaves to go to Florida State. Cignetti replaced him. Didn't turn out so well. 17-27, he was fired. So that's why Curt was the quarterback there. And unfortunately, Frank Sr. died in 2022. Frank Jr., still the defensive coordinator at IUP, where Frank Sr. went 182, 50-1.
Wow.
And won championships, and he is in the College Football Hall of Fame.
How about that?
So, yeah, the Cignetti name is known, but I didn't know that Frank Sr. had the West Virginia job at some point. I didn't know that. I knew he was at IUP, but he's a Hall of Famer, and rest his soul. He'd be pretty proud of his boy Curt right now.
Yeah,
I'll tell you. That's and when Cignetti was an NC State coaching for Amato, I had some conversations with him about recruiting. I was at Rivals at the time, so I know who he is. I've talked to him before. Great guy, full of energy. I know he rubs SEC people the wrong way, but I mean, he's a winner. And hey, winners can do. It's like the legend of Ricky Bobby. Winners can say anything they want, Mike.
And if you ain't first, you're last. We'll see if he can finish first in the Big Ten and make it to another playoff. He's certainly going to have a chance to do that. I'll leave you with a question. Who's going to be the next coach that gets whacked and gets a failure check?
My eyes are on Fayetteville, Arkansas this weekend. Yeah, that series, Arkansas tends to win at Auburn, and Auburn tends to go out there and win. So I don't know. I mean, I think Auburn, Arkansas can't stop anybody, but Auburn's defense, I think, is worthy of a win there. But if they go down, I don't know that there's going to be any choice.
Yeah. I think you're right. And even if they don't go down, I don't know. I mean, they still have – there's plenty of meat left on that bone.
Yeah, and you mentioned Stoops. I don't think Kentucky's going to part ways with Stoops in the middle of the season. I mean, look, heck, they almost beat Texas the other night. And that's, they showed some signs of they haven't quit. They could lose out and be fine. But at Auburn, I think Auburn and Florida won played for 4 national titles, won 3 in a span of 8 years. That's almost half the national titles. And they were in half the national title games between 06 and 13. How many? I mean, they have fallen off the map. So
and in the case of both of those it's not just one guy. Remember Brian Harsin? That was a disaster.
That was the problem. And I think if you're Auburn, even though Hugh Freeze may not work out, you're better off letting your boosters pick the coach than letting whoever your A. Now Cohen's probably different than that guy they had that picked Harsin out of a hat, but it'll be interesting to see who they go after. A lot of John Summerall talk there.
That's who they want and love. That's going to be fascinating. Does Lane go to Florida? Is going to be fascinating. Who gets the Penn State job is going to be fascinating. What's going on in Tallahassee is fascinating. It is crazy time right now in college football. We're not even just talking about the games themselves. Again, we are powered by Avocare, avocare.com for all your health needs. You want to get some spark, as I do each and every morning. Love this stuff. Just mix it with water, no sugar, better than coffee or any of the other. Some of those energy drinks will literally start your car if you just pour it on the battery. It's toxic stuff. Be careful what you digest there. Also rehydrate, better than Gatorade. A number of products that'll help you sleep, products that'll help your workout. Avocare.com, promo code Mike Morgan. Save yourself 20% there. We'll be back next Tuesday, as we are each and every week. Want to thank Mad Dog, Phil Mullinex, and, of course, JC. I am Mike. JC, we'll see you next week, man. Should be a lot of fun.
Let's go. See you later.
All right. See you guys. So long.